So welcome again everybody, I hope you're well. Today I wanted to tell you the story about my ayahuasca experience I had 15 years ago. An experience which has never left me, and there was many reasons why I wanted to try ayahuasca, but the main reason was for its healing qualities and the ways it elevated your perception. It's a medicine that will make you self-aware that the Amazonian people have used for decades, since they see it as a way to connect to the spirit world. I'm not saying this is for everyone, and I'm not advising to go out and do it, but it helped me connect to parts of myself that could conclude so much of what I was feeling for years. Having an addictive personality, I was looking for ways to heal this, and I have been advised that ayahuasca was right for me. Since that time, I found natural techniques that can activate similar experiences in our bodies and minds. More on that at the end of the video. There is a whole lot more to this world, and we are only seeing a tiny part of it. So we don't need to be overly concerned with darkness. Light is the creator in our universe, and the darkness is the absence of that light. Light is constant, and the shadow always fails in the end. But that doesn't mean we don't have to do the work. We must awaken so that we are guided by light and not tricked or seduced by the shadow. This is a lifelong journey. So 15 years ago, I attended an ayahuasca ceremony. I got linked up with this group and they told me to detox my body in preparation. This meant no sugar, no alcohol, no sex, no masturbation for a whole week. I ate fruit most of the time and I felt quite floaty after a few days, to be honest. A week passed and it got to Saturday, the night of the ceremony. There was about 10 of us in this room. I felt very supported by the people around me. Although I didn't know any of them, the vibe was just right as soon as I entered the space. We had a great South American shaman leading the ceremony who had the medicine, which he said had been mixed by a very special tribe. Before we started, he went around the group and he asked our intention of taking the ayahuasca. Some were clear about what they wanted. A few had no idea. For me, I wanted to understand more about myself and release my addictive personality. But this was also around the time of the Mayan calendar prophecies. So I had big questions about December the 21st to 2012. Was the world going to end? Was the world going to have a huge shift? You know, what was all this hype about? I needed answers. I wanted the truth, and not from all these so-called gurus that were around at the time. There was also a big part of me that wanted to connect to the center of creation, so I really wasn't asking for too much. We were in a built-up area and there was a clear night sky above. We sat in a circle and the shaman began singing an ancient tribal song. The song came from the ayahuasca plant itself, where the shaman tunes into the medicine and finds a song to lead the circle into the experience. It eventually came out as a beautiful rhythmic chant, and he began to bang a drum gently. Then he asked the group one by one to come and drink the ayahuasca mixture. And as we did that, there was this beautiful South American flute music on in the background. I sat meditating until it reached my turn, and I drank from this small cup of sludgy brown mixture, which didn't taste great. I had already felt quite light from all the detox on that week. So I could really feel the medicine passing into my body. So I meditated and did various breathing techniques that the shaman advised us to do. I began to sway to the bang of the drum, and by this point, around 15 minutes after taking, I could feel my body becoming more relaxed and settled. In my meditation, I was seeing colours and lots of different kind of fractal patterns and different textures. I felt at home, although it was such a strange environment with the odd siren going off in the background. It was a surreal feeling being connected to this plant, and yet the real world was right on the edge of it. I lived through the rave days, so I'm very aware of highs and hallucinogens out there, but this was completely different. I could really feel the presence of my body, and as the drumming progressed, I began to feel something separate from my physical self. My meditation began changing from colours to some sort of form, which became into like a mountain landscape type form, beautifully bright and lit up. The visuals became clearer and clearer, and it seemed like I was flying and passing through like clouds in the air. I could feel the wind on my face, and it seemed very real. It even felt like I had feathers. The music changed with rattles and other South American style instruments. The flying was becoming more intense. Although I knew consciously I was sitting in this room with four walls around me, I could feel my consciousness being taken somewhere else. I was moving fast, but my physical self was staying completely still. And the more my internal voice asked the question that I came to ask, I went deeper. I could almost just fly into something and be in that exact time and place. When occasionally opening my eyes, my vision was becoming more blurred and lights were very hazy. I stayed in this state for a while, which was incredible magical feeling. An hour or two passed, which seemed like minutes, and the shaman then asked if we wanted more ayahuasca, and I went for more, and a few others did too. And when I sat back down is when the visions really began. I closed my eyes and I returned to going into vortexes, colours and patterns and fractals and all different types of textures and shapes. I was still very conscious I was in that room, but I was zipping through tunnels into bright lights, moving fast but only gently swaying still in my body. It felt similar to the end of Kubrick's 2001, where Dave is zipping through the colours and goes into the past life. I felt this was somewhere in between worlds, between frequencies. My body felt like a suit, and I could move my consciousness anywhere I wish with the power of my word and mind. I asked it to take me to the centre, and by that I wanted to get the heart of source energy, whatever that exactly was. I don't know. But my internal body was feeling like it was being magnetically pulled somewhere. After going through lots of layers and patterns and it becoming very dense, I started questioning my ego. And lots of situations and memories began appearing, and I was just laughing at myself, sometimes in hysterics, at the ridiculous situations where I've been wanting to use my ego. Dark shapes danced around me and passed through me. Although I was in this state, I was very conscious, and when I opened my eyes, the room was very different. Very hazy, blurry, but when my eyes closed, the world I was going through felt completely real. More real than the one with my eyes open. I had a battle with my ego for a while, feeling myself getting pulled through something and sometimes things I didn't like. When I felt heavy, I told myself it will pass, and I kind of held on tight, breaking out of something on the way. I reached a magnetic sphere in which I floated around inside. It sparked every time I touched it and reacted as I observed it floating in this type of chamber. Was this the center of the universe? Had I reached source energy, or was this just inside of me? Was I just hallucinating? I'd stopped moving and I felt completely spatial. I then opened my eyes and I could see there was a web connecting everything and everyone around me. Like little sparks moving between people in the circle and to the walls of the room, out to the stars in the sky. It was completely connected. But even when I looked down at myself, I was just sparks of energy. I could feel my physical body, but that wasn't me. I could feel that I had this connected web around me. Everything was rippling with every action. The planet was a vibrating hive. Then the walls of the room seemed to just fold away, and we were all connected to the physical surroundings and the physical earth. It was then I saw shapes and almost like other beings moving between light and dark. The walls sort of opened up and these kind of like shadows passed through. I just sat there in amazement with no fear, observing the movement of light and dark. It was then I looked to the sky where I see a series of lights appeared. They seemed to be observing us, and when I said that they are stars in my logical brain, they increased in size, demonstrating that they were something more. I then started hearing a voice from these lights which said, "We are observing you. Humans have forgot what they are and underestimate their power. You are interesting to us." I then started to laugh, thinking how stupid it all is and what the hell is going on. And the voice returns, "You are incredible beings and we watch you." The two bright lights then just moved across the sky and disappeared. Whether that was my own projection or just me or just the plant, I'm not sure. It seemed very real and it stuck with me for a very, very long time, as I remember it so vividly in every moment to it. It's true, humans have seemed to have de-evolved, and that's happened. We have become further and further away from our space ancestry. I sat in wonder and amazement trying to write notes as I was experiencing all this. It was strange, as I found it really difficult to write. And looking back on it, my handwriting was so strange, it's so bizarre. It was almost like I was trying to get back to this normal world, but I couldn't reach back to it. So there was this big guy next to me, and the shaman came over to help him as he seemed to be in a lot of distress. The shaman started showering him down with a stick of feathers, and the big guy was just making these really strange, dark voices, almost like an alter ego or a personality, split personality. He seemed like he was possessed. Then the shaman started sucking something out of him, and I watched this 20-stone man shrink down to the size of a baby. Obviously that is physically impossible, but it happened energetically, or maybe it really did happen, and we haven't understood that in our physical world yet. The shaman moved his hands above him as if rearranging him, and I was mesmerized as I just watched this kind of healing process happen. It was absolutely incredible. There was nothing to say at this point to which world I was actually living was real. My logical brain knew I was in the room, there was music, people were singing and some crying, laughing. I was very aware I had taken this medicine which had brought me to this altered state. But it was very much beyond this. I could clearly see that I'd shifted into another frequency, which is all around us at every minute, every hour of our lives. The experience lasted 8 to 10 hours with many, many more journeys, but I felt it for days afterwards, and I found I was in lucid state when dreaming. My partner became very affected by my energy. She said she had very trippy dreams and felt lucid herself just being around me. I even found I could heal other people very quickly by having just the right things to say when someone came to me with a problem. Coming away from it, I had so many realizations. I had profound changes in myself and relationships around me. It was very interesting stepping back into the ordinary world, but I felt I had connected to something very, very powerful. The ayahuasca was so deep, it had made me understood what we can tap into in this reality that's all around us. The reality we see is a very small fraction to how this matrix is constructed. When we understand how to utilize the energy around it, we can move easier within it and see it clearly for what it is. The system we have lived in for a long time has taught us not to connect with ourselves, so it can map reality in the way it wishes, but connecting with ourselves is where we get the answers. I'm not saying that you have to do ayahuasca to get to understand yourself. We all have DMT as a chemical in our brains, so the plant medicine is merely activating it. Ayahuasca will take you there straight away, where you will get an intense lesson, and sometimes it's not always good because it's so intense. But by becoming conscious in yourself, you will eventually find ways to activate this within you. It won't happen overnight. Like a muscle, you have to work at it, train it. The biggest skill I understood from ayahuasca is the power of our breath with the right techniques, and there are many on YouTube. These Eastern techniques will heal most things in your body. Through our breath, we are controlling our energy fields. Simply put, if we are in a fearful state, we do short, fast breaths. In a positive state, we will do strong, long breaths. Fear state equals wrong decisions. Positive state equals best decisions. The main thing is to be conscious of your breath. Your breath is your life. Most walk around completely unconscious that they are alive, autonomously being fed information and trapped in their egos. Another huge thing I took away from the experience was to understand your ego. We all have one and no one can get rid of it. But when we understand it, it can help us grow and we can use it positively. Otherwise, it will hang over us and actually become part of the trickster. And we are lured into that false sense of reality, which is what we need to remove. Every day I find a quiet place and connect. I like to walk in my local wood, but sometimes I connect in various places, even in central London sometimes. Find somewhere that's quiet and you feel comfortable. Make sure your mind isn't cluttered and you feel safe. Close your eyes and identify every sound around you. Find the main sounds and then try and listen in between them. Once you find that sound, tune into it. Hold yourself on that sound and keep listening. Look at the spaces between what you hear. The more you do this, the more magic will happen. This is about becoming still, and when you are still, no outside energy can affect you. It might surprise you, but you will handle negative energy in a very healthy way. I also try to leave my physical self and observe myself from afar, and you will question this. Is this me just imagining this? But it's not about that. It's not about that. Just go with what you feel and see the interconnection of what you're feeling and experiencing. Don't necessarily question whether it's real or not. That's not the purpose of why you're doing it. Stay away from negative situations as much as possible, because many things can become attached to you, especially at this moment and in these moments. The shadow is coming out of people in every way, and a lot of people are not aware of it, and it will increase in the next couple of years as more truth surfaces. There is so much more I would like to say, but I feel that I've covered the main parts of the ayahuasca experience. Now, just to say, this isn't some recreational thing that you do with your mates. Ayahuasca is a very powerful and sacred plant and should be used with a trusted shaman and someone that knows what they are doing. You are opening up a very powerful energy when this medicine is taken, and it should be treated with respect. We are all made up differently, so what's right for one might not be right for the next. Find your technique, find yourself, because there has never been a better time. We can only awaken, otherwise we will enter the deepest sleep humanity has ever known. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I always aim to make awakening content and tell narratives that can help us all heal to become better and brighter people. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next week.